Hey everybody, I'm Jonathan Higbee. I'm here with Mark Beckenbach and Chris Gambit of the Phoblographer. We are here on the Lower East Side of Manhattan to work the scene and make some really good street photography together. We are also here thanks in large part to Zeiss, which has so generously lended us fantastic lenses that are perfectly tailored for working the scene and getting a great shot in the street photography genre. So if you have any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to ask. Mark or Chris will get them to me. And also during the live stream, we will be sharing photos in the comments section that I've made from working the scene in the past to illustrate really what is possible when you be patient and a little more deliberate and work a scene, stay around, hang around. If you have any questions about those images that are being shared in the comment section, also don't hesitate to ask. All three of us are happy to answer anything that you may have. That's the whole point of this fun day. So we're going to get started.
So John, start telling us about your methodology. You like saying that you are a person that does a photo wait versus like a photo walk or something like that. Talk to us
Trademark. Yeah, so predominantly in street photography, I would say you do a photo walk. That's a common phrase that we use in our genre, which is walking, rarely stopping, picking up your camera when you find an interesting shot or an interesting person, grab a picture and keep going, which is great. I do that too. But what I like to do instead of a photo walk is a photo wait. And that is basically where I plant my feet and try to be as patient as possible, which is difficult in genre or style that has so much FOMO, fear of missing out, or you want to see what's around the corner if it's more interesting. But what photo waiting does is it allows you to approach an attractive or interesting scene, person, or even lighting situation and be more observant, be more patient, and really drain every possibility you can out of the shot. You're basically covering your ass and getting a ton of shots from different angles or different compositions so you have more to work with and less regret.
Okay. And we see that you've picked this spot right here.
Yeah, this is where we're going to start. Again, we're on the Lower East Side, which is full of really good scenes. So if you are in town, if you live here, if you come to visit, I would really suggest starting on the Lower East Side. If you're into street art, if you're into energy, if you're into tons of different types of characters, start on the Lower East Side. So that said, we are starting here. We're starting here at this really great mural on the gate here because what I personally am into is graphic, bold images, graphic, bold backgrounds. And this one right here has a lot of potential. So what I first do when I find a scene like this, it's kind of je ne sais quoi about how to find a scene that you like. This one, though, is pretty obvious. There is a center circle, so as lots of people walk by, or as skaters go by in the street, or as bikes go by, I am hoping to get something aligned with that circle, with the concentric circles radiating out to make a great juxtaposition, something really graphic and striking. That's why I think it's a great place to start, and hopefully we're going to get something like that today. Immediately when I find a scene like this, I pre-visualize the possibility, and that's both positive and a negative. But for this one, in my head, it would be like hitting the lottery to me if a kid with a soccer ball somehow came up and was kicking it. I don't know sports, so whatever it's called, I don't know what it is, but tossing the soccer ball between knees or even just holding it in some interesting way with lots of energy. So in my dream world, if I could get that with the soccer ball lined up right there, that would be awesome. So pre-visualization is good. Use your imagination, expand your creativity, but it also can be limiting. I am probably not going to get a kid with a soccer ball lined up right there, and I don't want to box myself into thinking that that is the only shot that I can get or that I am looking for. So on the other hand, you need to be open and flexible and adaptive and ready to get anything that comes here that speaks to you.
So talk to us about the pre-visualization, because there are photographers that do say that, I see in like 35 or 85 or 50. So
Yeah.
what are you using today?
Today I'm using a 28, which is my go-to lens. I like environmental shots. I like lots of context. I'm using specifically Zeiss's ZM28 2.8, which is fantastic. I like to, as I said, have a lot of room to get as much information in to give a sense of place and environment. So 28 is perfect for that. And it's I've been using it so often that I can basically see in 28 now and don't really have to bring the camera up to my eye. I know what's in the shot, what's in the frame, and the angle. I highly suggest using a wider angle if you're going to work a scene like this, unless the scene you're working is a subject, a person, which you can work a subject or a person too. But for this kind of stuff, use a wide angle. We're also going to be using a Zeiss 35 1.4, which is fantastic for environmental work as well.
Cool.
Yeah, and I also love to zone focus. That's why, of course, the camera you have with you is the best camera, of course. But for this kind of stuff, when you have to be quick and don't have a lot of room to adjust anything, I love to zone focus, which is why a rangefinder for me is ideal. I can zone focus here. I don't have to think about focusing again. And that's another benefit of being patient and photo waiting, is I can get everything situated. I can have my focus ready to go, and one less thing to worry about, one less thing to get in the way. So I'm right now zone focused, pretty wide. I'm ready to go because I've been waiting here. I'm not just walking and taking a picture of whatever. I have, like that. I have everything ready to go, and I'm able to better be present in the moment, which is huge in street photography, to be present and just one with the scene, out of my mind, out of the camera aspect of it. So I'm going to take a few shots. Hopefully something award-winning will happen in front of you guys.
For everyone only recently tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. Jonathan Higbee right now is using the zone focusing technique for his photo wait type of technique to take a photo. So he's found something really cool, and now he's just going to wait for something to happen. And in New York, it's pretty easy for that to happen because there's so many people. Now in New York, the streets are really pretty busy all the time, so it's fairly simple to get something to shoot.
But also waiting around is one of my favorite parts of doing this kind of technique for street photography, because as I said before, planting myself here, taking a few deep breaths, chilling out, it allows me to calm down, find kind of a place of zen, be a little bit more mindful and a part of the scene, which I believe really takes your photography to the next level, especially in street photography. So waiting around, it's calming. It's calming and wonderful, and I think that the techniques that you use and build when you do a photo wait like this, I think they can even apply to a photo walk. I think that the observation and the patience that this requires is a huge asset when you do a photo walk.
John, just letting you know we're at 20% battery for some odd reason.
Okay.
So we're going to switch out soon.
In the back of my backpack, in the bottom of the bag is an orange external battery.
Cool.
Yeah. So while we wait for anybody or anything to happen in front of these circles, that I actually genuinely want to get a picture of something neat going on, because who knows how long this is going to last, which is part of the vein of my type of graphic photography. While we wait for something to happen here, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I do when I find a scene like this, like what I first do. So immediately I analyze the light, I get my camera settings ready, so that's number one. Number two is probably the pre-visualization, which I spoke about earlier. Number three is I check out the various angles and composition that will make this the cleanest shot possible. I'm really attracted to and strive to make very clean street photography, so I want to strip away any extraneous elements that don't add to the story. So while I wait for this kind of stuff, I figure out which angle and composition achieves that clean look.
Hey John, you shot a photo earlier. Do you mind showing the audience what it looks like?
Oh, I have no image to display.
That's weird.
I'm definitely going to show you guys photos as we continue on. That sucks. That was a kind of good one.
That was a good one, I agree.
Oh well. That's part of street photography, is not always getting the shot, and that's hard for me personally to deal with. It carries with me for at least a day if I don't get an image that if I don't get an image that was right before me. But it's another thing to work on.
John, why don't we consider going somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Let's walk and discuss what I look for and what you should look for.
How do you turn the battery on?
That's it.
Okay, cool.
The blue light means it. Let's walk and discuss what I look for and what you should ideally be looking for when you are hunting a city or wherever you shoot for a place that is worth your time for a photo wait. So let's head up Orchard and see what's going on in the street.
So John, tell us about some of the things that you really look for in images when you're trying to do a photo wait. Oh Lord. That's New York, people. So talk to us about some of the things that you're really looking for when you do a photo wait.
Like the scene that I'm looking for?
Yeah, like what attracts you to a scene?
Personally, I'm attracted to bold color, geometry. I'm also really into advertisements, especially if they are bold, have a lot of color and a lot of geometry. And I love that advertisements aren't everyone's thing. Some people hate them, but I love them, and I think that makes it even more interesting. That is a project that I'm working on. So I look for bold advertisements that have a lot of possibility, street art that's graphic, and one thing you also want to look for is that there is good energy and a lot of activity around the scene that you're shooting, so you have options. And also, I would try to limit, no matter what you shoot, I would try to limit the amount of text interference, big text, which is really hard when you're shooting advertisements, or any other thing that is distracting and could pull away from the story that you're trying to tell. So it can be quite the hunt, and honestly, I probably only find a scene worth waiting at, I would say, once or twice a month. Of almost everyday walking. That's how strict you probably should be. Your time is precious, and you need to be your worst critic when it comes to where you're going to plant your feet and wait for a photo.
And a lot of that has to do with the text, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it really does. But it's worth it. It's worth it once you do and once you put in the time. I think that doing this kind of patient observation and being very deliberate with your street work, I think it really allows you to grow your voice. I think it allows you to make photography that no one else can make. Because the moments are evaporating right before your eyes. You're the only one that's going to see it. But as I said, I think it's a really good way to experiment with your voice and find your voice rather than just doing a photo walk, walking down the street and picking up the camera at every turn, which is fine.
We just want to check to make sure that everyone can hear us totally fine. I tend to do this throughout live broadcasts. If you can hear us, we'd love it if you let us know in the comments, just so that we can check.
Johnny Mobasher says hi.
Hey, Johnny. Hi, dude. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
My husband is giving good questions.
Wes is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He asked something specific about that spot, but you kind of covered it earlier in the video. Yeah. But when we passed that broken glass, he said, "Oh my God, typical New York" or whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't show what that was. He wants to see.
So tell us about the spot that we're at right now and what attracts you to it.
This spot I love because of the color,
Thanks,
the
Lee.
vibrant color,
Thanks, Roxanne.
which is actually pretty hard to find in a city like New York, where it's mostly freaking gray and various colors of beige. So I really like the bold color of the blue steps. The people in this area specifically, which appears to be like a street sale, they're interesting. They're good characters, and also, of course, the street art that's all over the fence right there, I think is very quintessential New York. And again, with something like this, though, you have to be careful because all of that art right there can be distracting and can pull focus away from what you're aiming to shoot. When it is sunny out here, I also really like the way that the sunlight is raked through the fence and bounced between the buildings. So one thing, if you're not really into advertisements or if you're not really into street art, one thing that you can look for and decide if you want to do a photo weight at is the quality and shape of light. In fact, I do choose the way a light is in a certain scene pretty often to weight at. So keep an eye on good light and hang around, see how it changes, see how people interact with it, and also if you do choose a scene based on light, like I would here, mark the time of day and keep that. You can here make a note of it because you'll want to, if you decide to come back to the scene, which I come back to a scene so much. If you decide to come back to the scene, you'll know what time to come back at that produced the light that you like. So those are a few of the things that I really like about this scene.
Really? I've been there only once before.
What?
Richard commented, those two guys definitely wanted a photo taken. Old dude was pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, I was here yesterday and they were not very happy either. Let's go to the next scene, actually.
Cool.
And we can discuss more about what to look for when you are working the scene and deciding a photo weight. So as I said before, it doesn't have to be an environment. It doesn't have to be a background that inspires you to hang out and see what happens and see if you can make some interesting street photography. It can be, if you're into street portraits, it can be people like that. I personally don't do street portraits that often, but many people do well. So you can work a scene with a portrait as a subject. If you were into those guys and wanted to get the best, to drain the best possible work that you could from that scene, you would be shooting from every angle, using different settings, making different compositions, different distances from the subject. You don't just have to walk by, take one snap. Work that scene. You're going to give yourself more options when it comes to editing, and you're going to leave with less regrets, because I hate when I look at my photos and see something that I wish I had thought of. So working the scene kind of eliminates that possibility from doing that. And what I've been hearing as I've been talking, promoting this workshop, what I've been hearing from a lot of people is that the one thing preventing them from doing like a photo weight or just working the scene is fear. And I can totally understand that. They're worried that if they stand still, stay put, run around someone like this, get different shots, they're worried that they're going to have a confrontation, which of course is very possible. But if you have that fear inside, I think it's a good sign that you're onto something, and I think you should just go for it as long as your safety's not threatened at all.
What do you think the best way to deal with conflict?
Oh, what's up? We got a question here.
Yeah.
Richard, well, this might be along the same line. Richard Ashton asks, how do you generally approach people, or do you shoot them candidly?
Both. I've shot people candidly, and I've asked for permission to shoot them. And when I shoot candidly, I normally shoot from the hip and try not to draw attention. I rarely bring it up to my eye because, as I said, I know the Zeiss 28 focal length pretty well, so I can shoot from down here and know if I'm getting the person in question in a good composition. If I'm asking for permission to shoot a photo, which I've done as well, and I think it's great, I don't think anything is wrong with that, I find an article of clothing or an accessory that I like that they're wearing, compliment it, because usually that's a genuine compliment. I'm photographing them typically for that reason, and ask to take their picture. I've never gotten a no based on that. I would avoid asking people if you can photograph them because you think they're hot or they're cute. I would avoid that and keep it to clothing or accessories, but you should give it a try. Even if they say no to you, I think that's a good exercise. Thank you for the question. What were you gonna say? Oh, this scene.
Same thing, yeah.
This scene.
Oh, yeah.
Right over here.
So what attracts you to this scene? Let's show everyone what it looks like, kind of from Jonathan's point of view right now.
So this scene I freaking love. This is, it might be hard to read on the video, but this scene right here, ooh, and the sun's even good. It's very abstract. It reminds me of Saul Leader, one of my favorite photographers, one of my biggest inspirations. There are lots of shapes. There's a building and a window that you can see all the way through. There is, on the other side of the building, which is empty, cleanliness, which we love. You have blue, white, and red, beautiful graphic graffiti. And then we have people walking by with various reflections, lots of shapes in the background that are reflecting as well, including diamonds, squares, rectangles, all that good stuff, and the stair, I forgot, fire escape. So I really like the scene because it's abstract, but also at the same time has a lot of elements that are very New York, which is really important to me to get across in my shots.
So where do you think you would shoot from? Like right there where you're standing?
Yeah, I would shoot definitely from right here. I don't want to be in the reflection of this, so I'd have to angle my photo. Oh, and I love how the light is coming down right now, making those great shadows that add a lot of tension and diagonal direction into the photo. So I'm actually going to take some pictures.
Any other questions come in?
Sarah wants to know the address.
We're in the Lower East Side.
145 Ludlow.
Yeah. So Jonathan is prepping right now.
Jordy, I'll ask you a question when we get closer.
35.
Okay.
He's right now switching to a 35 from his 28.
Why do you want to switch to a 35?
I want to switch to 35 because 28 is a little too wide to get a clean, tight shot of this.
For everyone that can't hear, Jonathan is switching to a 35mm from a 28mm because of the fact that he doesn't believe that it's tight enough for what he actually wants. He's trying to get everything within the frame that he can and nothing really extraneous.
Glad I did not drop a Zeiss lens on live.
It's a durability test. So just also to show everyone, the light is coming from this way right now. That way right there. So John's still just getting prepared. anyone else has any other questions at the moment, we can try to answer them. Mark, you see any questions? So Jonathan, once again, is purposely working with the reflections for anyone that's come into the scene right now. Wow. Didn't see it.
I love it. This was exciting. This is one of the rare times when I think it's okay if you get someone who's just walking through the frame. Since I'm trying to make something that's more abstract and gives off a vibe in New York, I think it's fine that I got people who were not doing anything but walking through it.
Can you show us some of the images that you got?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then after that, we got a question.
Perfect.
Jody, I'll get to your question in 1 second.
You can ask me now.
Oh, she asked, what's the best country you've ever photographed, and or the best place you've ever photographed, and what's been the difference?
Ooh, that's it. Maybe I should answer it after. I should.
We're just checking too. How's the audio? If anyone can let us know in the comments, we'd really appreciate that.
Wow, this might be. I hope it's bright enough. I don't know how to change. This might be one that I use because it has a little motion blur.
Bring it closer.
Oh yeah, that's 18 millimeter.
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, obviously I would spend a lot of time here. Actually, I would probably spend a few hours today, and I would probably come back until I got something that I was very happy with. I've come back to scenes that I like, sometimes for a period of weeks. In fact, probably my most successful photograph, Times Square 2015, which is a dude taking a picture with a blue camera, and there's a blue diamond and a woman in the background. I found that spot, and I spent almost 3 weeks coming back, almost every day, and up to 2 hours each time. So I put a lot of time into that shot before I got that, and then when I got it, I knew that I was done, and I'm very thankful that I got it because within a week that advertisement was gone. So
Close call.
yeah, so put time into it. You'll be happy with what you achieve. Okay, so what country?
Favorite destination, country, place, and why? What's
Yeah.
the difference? What's the difference between one place
Oh, I
and
love
this?
it. I started out my career as a travel photographer for Instinct magazine. So travel photography and travel itself is a huge passion of mine. I still like to shoot travel when I can. In fact, I just wrapped up a gig for Airbnb, a travel gig, and it's what got me into street photography, since there are so many similarities between travel and street. So I'd say my favorite location to shoot so far is Bangkok. Definitely, by a huge margin, Bangkok. If you're a color photographer like me, you cannot beat the color of Thailand, especially in their biggest city. The people are fantastic, and they, to me, seemed like they were very receptive to having you shove cameras in their faces. So I tried to be as respectful as possible. So that's so Bangkok is my favorite by far. I also like Berlin a lot. I was just there last summer for a show. Berlin was really fantastic as well. Not as much color as Bangkok, but if you have a chance to go to Berlin, especially to shoot, I would recommend it. And Thailand in general. And then finally, Mexico. I would also say, if you're into color, again, Mexico you can't beat. There's so much great street photography being produced in Mexico right now. So wherever you go, though, you can make really good photography. Thanks for that question, by the way.
Let's go to another location.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's actually, I don't know. Let's walk and find one.
That area, Arlene's Grocery?
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to a location that we really haven't planned out, so you can experience what it's really like for me when I don't have somewhere in my mind that I'm going to shoot again. So let's walk on the other side of the street in the light. Oh, I love that plant. When I am scouting for locations, I try to walk in the light. I get a first-hand feeling for what the light is like, because light, of course, is going to play a predominant role in the scene that you choose. But right now, I am scanning the environment for color that immediately sticks out to me.
What do you think about that?
I would love that if there wasn't so much text and so many intricate details. Other than that, that would be okay. I like, personally, I like shapes that are bold.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if that didn't have all the text, we'd probably hang out there.
So we're heading to an area right by Arlene's Grocery, which is a famous concert venue here in New York. It was famous during the punk rock days, and right now Vice has this kind of installation right across from it right now.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Happy 420, everybody. I love Vice. So, this store that Vice has rented out is packed to the brim with marijuana. And it's real marijuana, too. This could make an interesting scene. This wouldn't be my typical shot for a portfolio, but as far as a street shot in more of a documentary kind of way, a historical record, this would be a really good scene to work. So what I do after I find a scene like this, as I said earlier, is I immediately, well, first I really genuinely take deep breaths to calm down and be a little more open. But then I begin to get a sense for the energy in the area, like I am here. I see how people walk and interact with that much marijuana. I see, I scan for potential compositions that would really sell this. I think for here, my immediate idea that comes to mind is it's interesting how people are interacting with this crazy store. I don't know, since it's real marijuana, I don't know if it's a contact high that I'm into seeing in these people, but I think for this shot, the right way to do it is passers-by being amazed at the store. So once I figure that out, which I'm going for, I then have to decide the best angle, the best composition. But the whole point of this is not to marry yourself to one angle or one composition. The whole point of this is to try as many as you possibly can. But for starters, I think this is a good place.
So would you start with 35 or 28?
I would actually start with 28. Thanks for reminding me. I switched to 35. Chris probably told you at the last scene. I switched to 35 for a bit of a tighter shot. 28 was capturing a lot of extraneous items and kind of ruining the geometric abstract feeling that I was going for. But this definitely calls for a 28. I'll even go sometimes as wide as 24, which is what I would use here if I had it, but Zeiss's 28 is freaking perfect for it. Okay, so for here, because I don't want just a run-of-the-mill shot of some random person walking in front of this, I don't want that. That can work sometimes, but I don't want it here. I'm going to be looking for colors of a person. There was a guy with bright blue pants who just walked by. Him with the yellow and the green of the lead would look good, but he's also just walking by. I want something a little more dynamic than that. I want something a little more deliberate than that. So what I'm hoping for then is for someone who's interesting and colorful to stop and look in the windows or play with the fake weed ATM machine, something that gives it a little bit of energy and activity. So let's see if that happens. Here we go. What's really good for street photography is to layer. It's a really good idea to get something in the foreground, whether it's the dude on the bike, the pigeons, and the people in the background. So I like this spot for that reason. Get pigeons or the dude on the bike in the foreground, and then have the main attraction be there in the background. Try to layer when possible, and deliberately working a scene or photo waiting allows you to figure out the best way to layer and has you more prepared for something that's layered.
And you're using Sunny 16 in zone focusing right now, right?
Yeah, my favorite way to work. I'm having a hard time not chimping.
I mean, you could use my film camera, then that way you can't chip at all.
Photo waiting is a lot about dreaming and trying to attain the miraculous. If in a perfect world, on the right side, if the Viceland that's a TV channel text was not there in a perfect world, and it was just the yellow police tape, the really bright yellow police tape coming out with the green, clean background, what I would use in a portfolio and what I would be really excited about is lining up somebody so the yellow tape is coming out of their eyes like crazy stoner vision or crazy stoner laser beams. That's my kind of stuff, but that's not going to happen here, and it's probably not everybody's.
You need the right light for that too.
A red light?
The right light.
Oh, well, I like the light. Again, since we have a moment here, I want to talk a little bit about images, photographs, street photographs in particular that just have people walking through the scene, uninteresting people passing through the scene. It's really difficult to pull that off and make it interesting. And I've done it before. Some of my most successful shots are people just walking through a scene. I like this lady's scarf that lines up with the police tape. It's quite beautiful. Really beautiful. You look for patterns, especially patterns of color in this kind of thing. The blue bag in the foreground adds a lot to it. This reminds me of my most successful shot of last year according to Instagram. I'm going to get a few different angles.
So Jonathan has used his photo waiting technique, and as you can see, it's paying off pretty well.
that was fantastic. I came here thinking, why? I'll just do this for the live stream. I'm never going to use a picture, but I might actually use a few of those pictures. It reminds me, as I was saying, last year, my most successful, according to Instagram, photo is a dude walking in front of a green construction wall with a black backpack and yellow straps coming off the backpack, and there's a yellow graffiti swirl. That reminds me of this. That's my kind of stuff. I like that play.
What are your settings right now?
I want a lot of depth of field because I want to be able to get some foreground elements in if they come. So I'm at F11, zone focus, ISO 200, and I should be on auto shutter speed, but I was, for that, on 125. So I'm on auto shutter speed and auto ISO, actually.
Again, thank you to everyone who's joining us. John is right now doing his photo weighting technique.
Now is something that's very important, and one of the big benefits of photo waiting and being patient and planting your feet at something you like. What I'm doing right now is I'm working with various compositions. I am so much going on. I love it. Okay, I'm playing with the different elements. The yellow police tape, fake police tape, is a very strong element in the scene. So I need to figure out a composition that allows the yellow tape to do what it should do, which is lead the audience's eyes to a person or what I'm trying to show. And I don't want it to work against me.
That's not real, is it?
It is real.
It is.
No way, I gotta take a picture.
You gotta break in. You gotta break
We're
in.
celebrating my birthday, too. Happy birthday.
Perfect.
Why is there a scene from you?
Someone probably tried to break it.
Yeah.
Not even kidding, you can go up there.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
No, it smells strong.
It's not caution tape. It says some other
It's
name.
not caution.
It's a share.
It's
I think it's that share. Yeah.
That was a really good idea by Vice. Good guerrilla promoting. So what I was saying earlier, I'm loving the scene. So much going on, so many opportunities. Which is why we do a photo wait. If we were just walking by, we'd take a shot and maybe not hang out if you were doing a photo walk, but plant your feet. Drain a scene that you're interested in of every possibility, so that you're not on your deathbed looking at that shot and wishing that you had made it from a different angle or with a different composition. Do everything you can. But what I was saying earlier, I want to circle back to that, is while I wait for this, I figure out the composition that works best for me to get the story that I want to say. The yellow fake police tape is a very strong element in the scene, so I want it to work in my favor, not against me, because it could work against me if I shoot it in a poor composition. So I've been figuring out how to best utilize, how to best control the yellow police tape. That's another thing that I really like about photo waiting, about working a scene, is it's almost like studio photography. It's as close as you can get to studio shooting and street photography, because you are in control of a ton of elements. The only thing you're not in control of are the actors, the people. So you have control on the lighting, your settings, the composition, the background. Like studio work, you're in a lot of control. just don't know what the people are going to do. So that's one less element of chance and more potential for you to make some really strong work.
You shoot film as a photographer as well, yeah?
I do, yeah.
Do you shoot street? And how does that affect working the scene?
It's really hard. It's really difficult. This, though I try not to, as I said, chimp before, I try not to look when something requires a lot of precision, like the shot I mentioned earlier of the dude with the camera and the blue. When that requires a lot of precision, digital, of course, allows you to go in there and ensure that everything's lined up properly. But I still do shoot film, and I still do work the scene depending on how dynamic it needs to be. The only other negative to working the scene with and street photography with film is that for things again that are really precise, I do have it on burst mode, and obviously you can't do that with film. But there are definitely scenes or people that you can work in a photo wave with film and get fantastic results. Is that from your mind or someone? Has Wes been sharing pictures?
I don't believe so.
He probably is taking a nap. Or maybe he can't. Please.
So while you're doing this, tell us a little bit about how you got into the photo weighting technique. Who are some of your influences for creating it?
Oh, I love talking about it. So Alex Webb, Matt Stewart, Jesse Marlowe, and Siegfried Hansen. If you don't know them, look them up. They're all my primary modern influencers. They all have inspired me to be patient and really put a lot of work into a strong scene. So they've inspired me with their work. But also,
Sorry, Wes.
Henry Cartier-Bresson, he was known for working the scene. In fact, the Magnum Contacts book, if you want to know more about it and actually see contact sheets and fucking legendary photographers, how they worked the scene and what led them to decide which shot to ultimately use, or let the editors decide, pick up Magnum Contacts. That is another thing that inspired me to work the scene hardcore. It will show you, the book will show you, for instance, as I said, Henry Cartier-Bresson, the book will show you one of his most famous photographs, and it will show you his contact sheet for it and how he differed in his composition, in his angle, and his light, and in his camera settings.
What were those other four names again?
I am really inspired by Jesse Marlowe, an Australian photographer, Siegfried Hansen, who is based in Germany, fantastic, really look him up, and Matt Stewart from England, Magnum nominee. He is probably my primary inspiration, and then also Alex Webb, who does a lot of this kind of work.
Lee Gillen has a question. Do you prefer the light as it was just a few moments ago that was a lot brighter, or something more cloudy?
Thank you, Lee. That is a good question. I prefer, unlike Chris Gambit here, I prefer bright sun. I like it hard. Oh no, you can edit that. I like hard, contrasty light for what I'm going for. So I like to shoot at this time in the middle of the afternoon and get that contrast and those hard shadows and the shape for a really strong feeling photograph. It's not for everybody, but that's what I like. Thank you.
Henry Brandon asks, ethics, morals, conscience-wise, when would you not take a photo? Can you remember any shots that you haven't taken out of mixed feelings?
Yeah, and if Wes is on here, he's been with me a few times because he'll encourage me to take a photo. And this is just for me. I personally don't like to photograph homeless people, no matter how intriguing they or their situation seems on the street. There are some amazing photographs, but that's one area where I would feel like I'm exploiting them for my personal gain. Thank you.
Sarah Terry asks, what are some factors in deciding whether you want motion blur or not?
That's great. Let me get this, and I'll be right back.
Sorry guys, I didn't notice that the comments don't I was stuck earlier in the comment field. I didn't see you guys had asked some questions.
I guess that means everyone can hear perfectly fine.
Yeah. Question I have.
Okay,
Clear
back to
audio.
when I would use motion blur or when I wouldn't. I have, unfortunately, terrible technique, so I am hand-holding and I try to use high, as fast as shutter speed as possible, because my technique is terrible. If you have good technique, I would definitely encourage you to play with motion blur and shutter drag. I think they can add a lot of emotion and an abstract quality to street photography. I do have a few shots that I've made that I'm happy with that have included that, but I really don't use it myself purely because I suck at holding the camera. Thank you.
Lee Gillen also asked, when are you using the electric viewfinder versus the optical on your Leica?
That's good. These optical Leica viewfinders are amazing, aren't they? I'm using the EVF right now because the Leica Q has spoiled me with focus peaking, and so the focus peaking that the 240 is producing through this is now my crutch and now my favorite way to make sure that everything I want is in focus rather than using the rangefinder. When I am just shooting for fun, well, I'm always shooting for fun, what am I saying? When I'm just shooting, not like a scene, just walking around and have nothing in my mind that I'm shooting, I love to play with the optical viewfinder. It's amazing, but it's difficult for me to, in this kind of situation where there's kind of a lot riding on it, to work without the focus peaking or the zone focus. I will either use focus peaking through the EVF or the zone focus system.
I got 2 more questions. We seem to have some time.
Yeah. There's nothing going on.
Do you study the location before you go out, or do you follow a gut feeling? That's from Farouk Islam.
Thank you. Nice to see you on here, Farouk.
I'll get you a question next.
It's hard to say. I go out. If I don't have a scene in mind, I go out, and really it is a gut feeling. It is a je ne sais quoi that's mixed with the light and the color and the activity, and if it's a clean ad or not. So there is a gut feeling involved, but after I've found it, and if I don't get a shot that first time that I'm shooting it, I will research the scene to figure out if there's a better time to come back and get something more that I want. So a little bit of both, really. Thank you.
I got one more question if you want.
Yeah, let's do it. Nothing's happening.
How is your process being affected right now versus shooting alone?
That's smart. Who asked that?
Hugo Camacho.
Nice. That's a really good question. It's probably, I'm trying not to let it get to me, but it's probably affecting how I'm shooting right now. I'm probably not taking as many risks as I normally would, just because I'm so happy that you're all here, but just because of that, I probably am a little worried about embarrassing myself, so I'm not taking risks. I think...
Yeah, but that makes for good television.
I know, but I don't want to get hit by a car in front of...
Yeah.
or beat up. But I do think it's really important, especially when you decide to photo wait. I do think it's important that you take risks and be adventurous, because that's the whole point of spending your time at a scene like this. So take risks. Other than that, I don't think this is affecting me too much. Until you mentioned it, and now it's in my head. The blues of that bike and the helmet mix very well with the green and the yellow. I will even happily make a photo that is just a good color story, a good color palette, since it's a pretty big challenge in a city like New York. So I am not against making a photo that just has a really serendipitous color palette, which that would have been. It's probably not the photo I'll choose for this location, because I think I've got stronger shots. In fact, I'm going to see if I have any shots of the woman with the yellow scarf that I want to show you guys while I look.
Oh yeah, let's see.
This is a no-no, by the way. I really try not to do this.
When Jonathan talks about this, he means chimping the LCD screen. And for people who don't know what chipping the LCD screen is, it literally quite means just looking at the LCD screen.
Reviewing your images that you've recently taken. I wonder why do I not like that? I forgot. Well, first of all, it takes you out of the moment. That's right. It takes you out of the moment, which you really should try to be in. If you're here looking at your LCD screen and checking out images that have passed, why even bother being here?
Yeah.
But in this case, I will let it slide.
Also, usually by the time you see a moment, it's gone.
Exactly. Yep.
Everything good?
Yeah, I think there are a few options. I want to get one zoomed in though. I found one. I'll show you after they pass. Right. I actually really like this shot, and I might use it. I tried my best. It's going to be hard to see. I'm going to share this in the video as well afterward when we edit it. But okay, so right here, there's probably a lot of reflection. But the woman who is wearing a yellow scarf lined up. I got her lined up with the police tape. So her scarf looks like a continuation of the police tape. And it adds to the motion and juxtaposition of the scene. It doesn't look like I got that one in focus, but I have a few others in the series. It's hard to tell on the small screen. But that is something I would use. And that is a good reason to photo. That's a good reason to photo wait, because you can anticipate.
Fuck Donald Trump, partner. Welcome to the fucking Lower East Side.
He's the guy you got a picture of last week, right? Yeah. We got a picture of him last week. He's excited. He's really enthused about this live stream, so that's cool.
He spent quite a bit by the weed.
Yeah, exactly. He got a contact button. So what I was saying was, it's why the predominant reason why I photo wait, why I work the scene, is to get something just like this. I can anticipate a moment like this happening because I'm very familiar with this scene. I'm present in the moment, and I was able to quickly line this woman with a yellow scarf up with the police tape because my powers of observation here and my anticipation are solid because we've been here for a while. And these are things that I want to see what unfolds here. Nothing. These are techniques and tools that I think can be applied to any genre of photography, or even to typical photo walk and street photography. Observation and anticipation. You really hone observation and anticipation when you work a scene like this, when you do a photo wait. And you can apply those techniques quite successfully to photo walking or other types of photography. I think in street photography, observation is key, and anticipation definitely helps make strong photos. So I think that's one of the number one reasons, even if you never want to do this for your own work, give it a try, because the feeling it gives you for those techniques are very good to have and can be applied to whatever you prefer to do to make photography. $3 o'clock. Should we wrap up?
Yeah, I think we've been shooting quite a bit. We have 5 different
so, too.
locations, right?
Yeah, we have a lot. This is going to make a great video.
Yeah.
So we are going to start wrapping up, and I will be editing this video with images from today and with other examples of working the scene. So pay attention in the next few days. We'll have a link for this workshop on YouTube. I'll be sharing it, and thank you all for your questions. Thank you for being here. It means the world. Thank you to Zeiss for these wonderful lenses. I can't wait to show you guys.
You got time for one final question? You want to wrap up?
Yeah, no, it's
All right, this just came up.
Great.
Nathan Patel. How do you find elements which can be juxtaposed, like the police tape?
Yeah, that's a gut feeling, but you can honestly make any element a juxtaposition. I go for geometric yellows and blue. I go for geometric bold colors and shapes. I just like the graphic that makes when you use it in a juxtaposition. But honestly, try to juxtapose anything. You can turn anything into an interesting juxtaposition. Use your creativity and imagination, and I think it will be something unique to you if you try to work on something, a juxtaposition that not many people would think of. So,
In addition to that, when we were actually scouting the location for this live broadcast, something that Jonathan saw that I didn't see immediately is that there was a woman, for example, that was holding a pug, a dog, kind of like a baby. And then the child that was with her, she had the child on the leash. So it's also about content and kind of being more in tune with your own feelings. If you feel something, you should probably take a photo of it in regards to ethics. So that's something else to add to juxtaposition.
I agree. And I think that this technique of photo weighting, I think it helps you develop those senses and feelings because, as I said, you have more in control. You're more in control of the scene. So give that a try if that's something you want to work on. Just hang out and observe and see what you're feeling. But I want to, again, thank Zeiss so much. I cannot wait to show you guys the images made with these lenses. Again, the ZM for the Leica M mount, 28-28, and the 35-14 from Zeiss. Thank you, Zeiss, for your generous lenses.
In addition to that, this entire segment was actually filmed using the Zeiss EXO lenses for the iPhone 6. They're also available for the iPhone 7, and yeah,
Wide. You can get a wider shot, which is perfect for today. So also check out the EXO lens adapters for the iPhone system from Zeiss. Thank you, Zeiss. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mark. Check out the Phoblographer.com, where these dudes are from. It's my favorite photography publication. And most importantly, thank you guys for being here and for the wonderful questions. Please share this video when we have it up, and continue to feel free to ask me questions personally or in comments of the video once it's done. But thank you so much. I hope we helped you or gave you at least a new perspective, and stay tuned for whatever next topic we decide to do. And also, if you have a topic that you want to suggest that you would like a free Facebook Live workshop from us at, feel free to suggest a topic that you want to know more about. All right, have a great tax day, a great holiday weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.